on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too.
Ahoy, this is Zdenka. Guess what? I'm not here alone.
Hello.
That's actually a very good friend of mine. She's actually used to be my neighbor, like right next door neighbor. And by the way, she's Czech as well. Her name is Martina, which is in English, but in reality you really want to say Martina. And by the way, for those who don't know, I always say my name is Zdenka, but in reality my name is really Zdenka. That's what it is. So what I'm planning on doing today, I brought Canon M6 Mark II, which I'm using right now, and I have also Canon M50 in my bag here, and a whole bunch of lenses. I'm gonna be using them with Viltrox Speedbooster. So what I brought is Telephoto lens, 70 to 200 millimeters, EF lens, obviously Canon lens. Then I brought the 50 millimeters Nifty 50, and also I brought 24 to 105 millimeters. And I want to do a little B-roll of Martina here. I didn't bring a gimbal because I simply can't fit it anymore, and it's just heavy, and I think that's enough for today. So I'm gonna try to do everything handheld. We'll do some slow motion and we'll see how it goes. But I think that first we might use a bug spray, because I don't know how about you, I'm feeling some mosquitoes around.
Yeah.
Are you okay so far? All right, let's get ready. From the studio. I'm here to comment on some of those things because we were shooting about 2.5 hours and I really wanted to make sure I have the shots, so I didn't have time to fully talk about what I'm doing. That's why I'm here now. Let's talk about the B-roll you saw at the beginning of the video, and I'm gonna play that one more time at the end of the video, or cinematic sequence. People call it B-roll, but it's not really a B-roll. There were no transitions in today's video because my point of today's video is to concentrate on working with the sun, getting the right frames and right angles. A lot of people I'm finding are moving up to incorporating all those crazy transitions and just trying to do the edit very difficult and complicated. But I don't see the basics, and the basics is again what you actually see through the lens. Because if you get the right shots, which are so powerful, once you edit the video like this, the most simple way, just cut those clips together on the music. You don't even need all those transitions because those views through the lens can be super powerful. When I was working with the sun, most of the time I was filming against the sun and I let the sun peek here and there. Sometimes I was using the sun to lit my subject from the side. If I was filming some of the close-ups of the plants and nature, then I used the sun to fully lit up the scene. I was doing very minimal movements, so you could have seen me panning to the right clockwise, never to the left, because everything has to float in the same direction. Maybe you could have seen me going a little bit forward or back and then up and down, but that's about it. I was not doing any crazy moves. Everything I wanted to stand out was the framing of the shot and what actually I was seeing through the lens. As we were shooting with Martina, we had a conversation about the job, and I thought actually I should tell you what she really does, because it is kind of in this area, and I think some of you might be interested, a little bit interested in that. So what is your job description?
I'm a scenic painter for film and television, and last 2 years I have been working like an on-set painter with the shooting crew.
So she's part of the film industry here in Toronto, and she's pretty much making the beautiful scenes so you can actually see them in the movies. I thought it's pretty cool, very cool. How long have you been doing that for?
It's been already 6 years.
6 years.
And it's definitely a fun job.
Yeah, and did they ask you now I think about being on a camera or working with a camera?
Yeah, they asked me if I would like to join like a camera trainee program.
Let's talk about the framing and those angles. If you look at all of the shots from what I was filming that day, every time you would see me that I am either filming the object on a rule of third, so I'm moving Martina a little bit to the side so she's on 1/3 of the whole frame, and then I have something interesting going on in the foreground and something interesting going on in the background. So most of the time actually I was also shooting through something, so I got the blurry foreground which makes it very cinematic. Besides rule of thirds, I was also playing a lot with leading lanes. So basically if there was a tree, so I was following the tree to kind of follow towards her. Also symmetry, so if there is a shot where she's leaning back on a tree and you see those feeders for the birds, for those little bird houses, it was very symmetrical. So when I was going down, the shot on her was just, it was very eye-catching because everything was so symmetrical. There was a strong reason why I was dragging with me all those lenses. If I was filming everything at 15 to 45mm kit lens, it would look very boring, it would look the same, very uninteresting B-roll. Well, it could have been interesting, but it would not be so diverse. The fact I was using 3 different lenses gave me different points of view, so when it was cut together like this, it was extremely interesting. The first lens I was using was the wide lens, 24 to 105mm. That's a typical portrait lens. I used to use that a lot for the weddings. It captures wide kind of view, so you can show the scene, you can capture a little bit more, it gives you a little bit the wide perspective. Next lens I pulled out was the 50mm, the Nifty 50 lens. I love to use it for close-ups, and that's exactly what I did. Whenever I was filming the close-ups of the plants, I was filming close-ups of her hand, the necklace she was playing with, anything very, very close, that lens is a must, absolutely. Third lens I was using is the Telephoto 70 to 200mm, and to be honest, most of the time I cranked it up all the way to 200 because I really wanted that far distance view to mix it up with close-up shots and a little bit wider shots. I also used it for the shots when she was throwing the rocks into the water in one spot so I could get those splashes. Anything which was far away from me, that telephoto lens came extremely handy. Having very good lenses in your camera bag is the basics. Even if you put it with Viltrox Speedbooster on something like the Canon M50 entry-level camera, you're still gonna get very nice results. The quality will be lower though, and I explain because, as we know, 120 frames per second on Canon M50 is only in 720p, so I had to upscale it to 1080p. And that's one of the reasons I don't shoot on Canon M50 in 120 frames per second. That's why I bought the Canon M6 Mark II, because filming in 1080p now, posting it on YouTube is a standard. I would not really post in 720p anymore. I would like to also show and talk about shots which did not make it to the final B-roll, because you can still learn from them. And obviously if I show something bad, then you will know what not to do. So it's very vital I'll show it. So there was a scene at the beginning which I was filming with 24 to 105mm wide lens, and that's how I actually started the shoot. I always call it the warm-up shoot, and I know sometimes it's not gonna look good, but it's just so I get into it and the model gets into it. So I chose this little walkway. It was quite dark and the lighting wasn't there the best. So you can see that those shots are just regular shots. There's nothing special about it. Even if I tried to shoot through the grass, I still was not getting the cinematic look. it is really all about the light. If I chose a location where perhaps I would be shooting against the light, if she would be walking, the result would have been completely different and I would be getting cinematic look in those shots. It is all about the light. If you see something like this when it's dual and there's no interesting light, you're not gonna get the result. So the best way is to turn around, face the light or something like that, just work with the light, change the location, change the angle completely. Another big scene was filmed with the fallen tree, which didn't make it to the final b-roll because the lighting was different and it didn't fit into that. I actually didn't like the lighting, it was way too strong. The only clip I was actually using here is the very close up of her face. It's at the end of the cinematic sequence. That shot I really like. I was kind of filming a little bit upwards towards her, so it gave her that dreamy expression, very nice angle. I filmed a few shots of her sitting on the beach as well, a lot more shots. I didn't pick them for the reason that I, again, didn't like the lighting, and then when I was editing the final piece, it just didn't flow nicely with the rest of the clips. What I would like to point out here though is posing your model, a person, friend, whoever. If you would have just a person stand there or just sit there and just being like this, it's gonna look very unnatural posed. But if you tell them just to relax and put your hand like this, just put your head on your hand or even something like this and just think about your day, think about what you're gonna be doing, you're gonna get immediately the natural result. Just let them be so they feel comfortable in their little own bubble. Definitely if you see that they sit like this posed, change it immediately because the guarantee that the result will be very posed. And lastly, my favorite location, the tree line. I didn't include it either because again the lighting was too dark and I don't know, I just didn't like the result. After all, the way it was looking, the lighting and the dark trees could have been a little bit better, but I used a lot of the close-up shots when it comes to movement of the hair, when she was flipping the necklace, the hand movement. But when I was doing the wider shots, for some reason I found it very dark. I didn't like it that much. Again, when there's one shot which I would like to point out as well. You can also do walking with the person. And what I tried to do is two things. First, I had the sun in front of her, so I was walking with her and she was kind of, what I say, kissing the sun. So it was kind of just popping up in front of her. And then I also tried shots when the sun was behind her, but the effect wasn't as strong. It kind of looked like she was running away from me. It's just, it didn't work out. So if you are gonna do something like that, try both ways, see what's gonna look like, you know, and don't be afraid to change positions. But again, maintain the same speed of the object so the object is fully sharp. By the way, the music is from Epidemic Sound. The link is in the video description below the video in case you want to check it out. The first month is free. It's my go-to when it comes to music. They do have a great selection. Without that kind of service, I would not have the music I'm using in these videos.
You say take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too.
I hope you enjoyed this little cinematic sequence of Martina. I certainly did. It's a pleasure to go to such a location like that, and have a friend which lives close by always helps. Well, hit the thumbs up if you liked today's video and subscribe to all future videos like these. If you have any questions, comments, simply want to say hi or ahoy, you can leave it in the comment section below, and I'll see you, my friends, in the next video. Ciao, ahoy.